If you're looking to increase your profitability and shorten the time span that it takes you to be consistent and profitable in your trading, today's video is exactly what you should be focusing on: journaling and how to improve. We're going to be covering how to journal, where to find a journal. I have a free resource for you if you need it as well. What to put down in the journal, what to be watching for when you're in the trade, and then how to take that information and utilize it later. I've been doing this every day for the last 6 months and it's dramatically improved my trading myself. So to begin, what exactly is journaling when it comes to day trading? This is all about recording each trade with their emotions and technical errors and strengths. You can divide each trade into those two subcategories, and there's going to be more subcategories beneath those, but you can split your journaling into really the emotions and the technical side of your trading. As we dial into both of those aspects, that's how we'll figure out how to properly journal to make the most effective use of your time. Trading is unlike a lot of careers out there where working smarter actually makes you go a lot further. You might have also heard the phrase that the time out of the markets is really what makes you most profitable when you're in the markets, and that couldn't be more true. Where else can you make a regular salary type income in just an hour of your work per day? This is where you do the work outside of the markets so that you perform well in them. So as you mentioned, the first subcategory is technical. And when you're journaling your trades, you need all these aspects just so that you can remember what happened with this trade. The benefit of this is that you're going to be replaying that same trade over again. That's going to give you additional experience. You're going to have the time when you were looking at the charts and taking the trade itself, but you definitely did not have enough time and enough attention to take in everything that was going on at that time. The technical aspect will give you that extra rep. That extra rep will give you extra confidence, or it'll also help you remove what you did incorrectly. So of course, you need your entry, your exits. You need to jot down a system or strategy, make sure that you use that correctly or not, and annotate that in your journal. I'm also going to mention here that you want this to correlate with a pre-market plan. This also helped me a lot when I started to create plans before the market opened, where I had 2 or 3 key setups that I was watching for prior to the market opening. Then having that, I could see how well I adhered to that same plan, if I followed it, or if I completely ignored it altogether. This also helps you build some level of intuition, because as you start to have those pre-market plans, whether they're going right or wrong at the beginning doesn't really matter, but you'll start to develop better and better plans. Your intuition will come over time as you do that consistently. That's a big part of becoming a profitable trader, in my opinion. Next piece is to look ahead and behind your entry and exit. What happened before you got into that trade that made you think about getting into that? I'm thinking about things like volume. I'm thinking about things like price action. I'm thinking about what's happening with the indicators. And then after, I often use this, especially when I'm in a good trade, to see how I could have held that longer. Or if I was in a trade a little too long, I can also see what happened after that trade to help reduce that likelihood that it happens in the future, so that I can make my losers smaller as well. Did you have proper risk management in this trade? I talk about risk reward a lot. I probably should have put this at the first bullet point of this whole piece, because it's really what's most important. We need to dial in risk reward. If you don't have higher reward than your risk, it's highly unlikely that you're not profitable. So make sure that you have this dialed in per the trade. And a big part of this, for me at least, is making sure that I knew what I was willing to lose before I got into that trade. I'm gonna take losing trades, and I need to make sure that I understand my loss first. Usually if I don't understand that, usually I have lower reward, higher risk setups, and that's not profitable long term. So make sure that you had your risk management dialed in prior to that trade. Then analyze if you were able to stick to that risk management. Did you stick to your stop loss? Did you follow your take profits? Did you trim accordingly? As you do this all, it's important to remember that it's not about what you made, but if you followed your rules or not. You gotta know that you could take a bad trade and make a lot of money on that, but long term, that's gonna hurt you. As opposed to sticking to your rules. If you do that over time, sticking to a good set of rules, a good strategy, good system will make you profitable. The money will come as you become better. You just need to make sure that regardless of whatever the P&L says, you're following your strict rules so that long-term you can be profitable. This might seem like a lot, but these are the building blocks to your own personal improvement. And it's really the only way to get that additional rep and figure out where you're going wrong. Remember that trading is really independent, and unless you're reviewing every trade with somebody else, this is the only way that you can keep yourself accountable. One of my favorite quotes is that progress is made when progress is measured. Here's another way you can do that for yourself. So we went over the technical side of trading. The second part is all about your emotions, the emotional side of trading. Now, when you're journaling this, you want to make sure that you have your emotions before the trade, your emotions when you're in the trade, and your emotions after. One thing that's important is as you're in that trade, note how you're feeling. You probably won't remember if you wait till the end of the session. So if you have a little notepad, sometimes I use sticky notes on my computer. When I'm in that trade, if I'm feeling a certain way, or if something happened that's making me feel a certain way, I note that down. Those emotions can then turn into actions, and if they're not treated correctly, those actions can be really harmful. So you have to watch out for those emotions and use them to your advantage if you can. The only way you can do that, especially when you're in the trade, is to note what's happening in your mind as you're doing that. Are you itching to get out of that trade too early? Are you itching to extend your stop loss further? Whatever it is for you, you want to note that so that you can improve. You can usually whittle this down to two important emotions: fear and greed. It's really what drives the markets and what market makers are trying to play on when you're trading as well. So fear can often be on the front end in a trade, where you're fearful of jumping in, even though everything is setting up properly. Maybe you're using too large of size, so you're fearing to get into that trade and then lose more than you should. So decrease your size. If you're greedy in the middle of a trade, and maybe the trade is run more than what you've expected, more than where your take profit was set, and you just don't want to take profits because you think it could run forever, you got to know that's not going to happen. Again, whatever those are, dial those in, focus on fear and greed, and manipulate those emotions in your favor. So this is a funny image, but this is really the reason that we do this all. This is probably the most important part of this entire video. So one of my favorite trading books is The Mental Game of Trading by Jared Tendler. And he actually talks about this concept about the inchworm and how it moves and how that relates to your personal improvement as a trader. So an inchworm, as you can see, it moves by moving the rear end of the inchworm. That will scrunch the middle of that body up, and it allows the front of the body to then extend. He relates this back to an A, B, C grading scale in relation to your own trading. So A would be an A+, right? If you were to grade your trades, these are the emotions, these are the actions that it takes to be trading on an A grade level. B and C, so on and so forth. As it relates to the inchworm, the head is the A level of trading, the rear end is the C level of trading, everything in between is that B. But I mentioned this all as an example because the only way to improve overall, you actually have to improve both sides of your A through C trading. You can't only better your A grade trading and expect you to be better, because you're still going to make those C mistakes that are far back here. But as you inch your way forward, improving both what you do really well on the A grade scale, but also what you do poorly, you'll eliminate those bad trading habits and overall chunking yourself to move forward as a better trader, both with your highest highs and with your lowest lows. Just about everybody that I talk to that's traded will say that they can take trades, they can catch winners, but their losers are what ends up screwing them, because their losers are so much bigger than their winners. This is why we talk about the A through C game. And if you improve the back end of what that C game is, you'll be able to bring the rest of the whole up. So I mention this all now because it relates to journaling, and the only way that you're going to get to know your A through C game is to journal. I know mine really well. I've listed mine out before. I'll take you through what an exercise would look like for yourself, and I would highly recommend you do this If you've been journaling for a couple months now, you should be able to know some of this now. It might take some thinking, but this process will help you long term. So, A game. An example would be you're only taking entries in that are within your strategy. You understand what you'll lose before each trade. You're taking 3 RR trades only, so that winner would be 3 times a loser if you were to take a trade like that. That is an A game. Of course, there's always room for improvement, but this is your A game. This is what you're doing at your peak performance. B game, an example could be you're taking entries into strategy. They're less RR, 2 RR, but you're ignoring volume on entries. This is going to look different for everybody else, right? This is just an example. C game could be that you're taking entries way outside of your strategy. You're not looking at risk reward and you're entering blindly. And so I say this all because as it relates to the inchworm, as you get to know your personal journaling, your personal things that are going really well or poorly for you, you'll be able to do this yourself. If you could eliminate this C game, I could guarantee you that somebody taking trades and when they're not looking at risk reward are having huge losses. Imagine if you could eliminate that altogether and only have your A and B game. Your A and B game, your B will then become your C game. And as you continue to progress, you're going to continue to move yourself up, inchworm yourself to excellence. And that's what we really want. If you're not journaling at this point yet, I have a free resource as a simple Google sheet where you can annotate everything that we just talked about in an Excel sheet and over time track your progress. I highly recommend that whatever it is, whether you use this, I personally use software called Tradezilla. You need to journal every day. Nothing will help you improve faster than journaling your trades and taking that very seriously. If you want this resource, it's free in the free part of my Discord, so feel free to join. The link for that is in my bio. You basically just send me your email and that way I can add you to the Discord so you can get access to this yourself. If this was helpful for you, I would really appreciate a like, a subscribe. My goal for this year is to create 2 or 3 YouTube videos for this channel per week to help further my goal to help you become a profitable trader independently and faster. We also live trade every day here and on TikTok at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time to 12:30 Eastern Standard Time. We've taken 25 total trades just during that live period. 20 of those have been profitable winners with really sound risk reward parameters at least 2.5 reward to the risk. So if you're looking to fill your feed with good content to help you as a trader, I'd be honored to help along the way. Let's trade smart and have a great 2024.